Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this video, taking a look at the NFT landscape on Ethereum right now. This is the home to the majority of the high value NFTs and primarily where I would be collecting some NFTs. Yes, other marketplaces on different chains have been popping up, but nothing's really gained that much traction as of yet. Now, is this a bear market that is continuing, or are we starting to see the end of the NFT bear market on ETH? We're going to have a little look at that today and see what we find. I'll also share some of the collections that I'm really interested in and the reasons behind this. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications, and check out the pinned comment down below. So starting over here, we have OpenSea and we have the rankings. So essentially you just go to stats and rankings here if you've not used this before. Pretty simple to do. But what you can see is over the last 7 days here, most things are now in the green. So this has been primarily over the last 2 or 3 days in particular, we've started to see an uptick in prices for some of the top collections here, these blue chip assets, but many of the other sets in general have started to tick back up, not just the really high value. As you'll see here, the Doodles collections here, around 1.76 ETH. Of course, with Ethereum being like 4.5 grand now, these are very expensive still, but most of the collections in general are ticking back up. And this doesn't come as much of a surprise as we see these cycles in crypto play out all the time. You go from the emotions of pure greed when things are pumping like crazy, and then fear when things start to dump back down. And this is really exacerbated in the NFT market due to the illiquidity of everything in here. So even for like the most established collections, you might have only 10,000 Bored Apes, for example. So during times of peak FOMO, the prices can spike massively. There's just not enough supply to actually be satisfying the level of demand in the market. And then on the flip side, when things turn bearish and people aren't looking at the NFTs anymore, well, there's no one to sell to. So it's a real case of feast and famine here in the NFT space. Let's just pull up June analytics here. So this shows you some of the on-chain data for OpenSea. So here we have the OpenSea monthly volume. And as we can see, it was building up really, really nicely May, June, July. We had a breakout month in August, and September we kind of topped out here. Then in the preceding 2 months here in October and now November, we're starting to see a continuation in the decline in total OpenSea volume. And as we can see on daily volume here as well, things have been in decline for quite some time, but we've started to see a bit of a spike back up here, maybe an early sign of what is next to come. But in general, this is going to be down to the fact Ethereum gas fees are so high, and also because Ethereum is more valuable, pretty much at all-time highs, people are less inclined to part with their ETH for NFTs. But in general, what you see is that as the NFTs are actually priced in Ethereum, they seem to have a consistent valuation in ETH rather than US dollars. There's kind of a temporary shift and a bit of a sell-off when ETH actually pumps in USD valuation. Sometimes the NFTs will dump down a little bit in their ETH price, but oftentimes they then recover that at a later date. So for most investors trading these things, they're trading in the ETH valuation, not so much the USD valuation. OpenSea monthly NFTs sold, as you can see, huge months here throughout the summer. October, still not too bad, 1.4 million here. But November, we're like halfway through here and the count is still pretty low. The fees, again, dropping off. In general, you can see here from the active traders, the numbers have started to shift down again. And no real surprise, new investors into this market can't really afford to trade when you're paying 0.02 ETH to make a swap of an NFT. It just doesn't make economic sense. And this has also killed off the lower value items, those smaller ticket ones, your non-blue chips, your 10,000 PFP collections, they're just pretty much untradeable. So let's talk about this tweet here from Kaleo. NFT blue chip volume picking up across the board. He said it before and we'll say it again. When this cycle is all said and done, what we saw in August will look like a blip. So generally what we see with crypto market cycles is the previous all-time highs get absolutely eclipsed and made to look minuscule in comparison to where we are now. So the next time we have a big FOMO wave, it'll probably make, as he says, those previous levels look like blips on a map. And this is pretty obvious due to the fact crypto works in huge adoption waves. The more attention there are on things, the more people enter the ecosystems and prices can pump higher and higher and higher. So if we look at a collection here of CryptoPunks, this is obviously the most famous of all collections and the most valuable of the NFTs in terms of a collection overall. What we did actually see over the last month, if we pull this up, is a huge anomaly here. And this actual sale here was due to someone using a flash loan, I think, to buy their own NFT at a hugely increased price, which doesn't really count. So if we just pull up to 14 days here, we can get a general idea of the price levels. So it looks around this 100 ETH price point is where the punks kind of like to trade around. We get these waves up and down, just around this 100 ETH general floor price, I would suggest. So it looks like you could probably trade around the 100 ETH level and make some good returns, as a lot of people are doing. You could follow some of these wallets in here and see that some of these dudes are trading these things really well and making up huge amounts of gains. So with the bigger ticket items, you get bigger spreads and you get this kind of thing. So you can actually make, so this guy made around 15 Ethereum on a trade here in about 16 hours only, which is incredible. So 17 hours ago, he bought it for 122, and then 40 minutes ago, sold it on for 137 ETH. So pretty incredible stuff here with the punks being traded. Of course, you will need to have a huge bankroll to start moving some of these things. But in general, what I've seen from this is a 100 ETH price floor is pretty much where the punks are sitting right now. So this is the premier collection. So you would have to say that a 100 ETH price target is about as high as any NFT should be able to go. This is the OG collection. This is the one that's got the attention of Visa and got them to buy. So 100 ETH should be the highest you could ever imagine a typical NFT will go right now. Of course, if we go into the bubble territory, things could go even higher for these punks, which I'm kind of expecting to happen with the amount of adoption going on in the mainstream right now. We're seeing the likes of Burger King, McDonald's talking about their NFTs, even Nike getting into creating digital versions of their clothes for the metaverse. It's all going to be some crazy stuff ahead. Let's have a little look at some more collections here. So in terms of the art blocks curated, the chromey squiggles are probably the most famous in terms of how recognizable they are. Everyone's seen these. They're kind of the meme of the art blocks curated sets. Now these themselves seem to hover around 10 ETH. As of late, they were kind of trading above 10 ETH for quite some time here, and it looks like 10 ETH was kind of the support line, but that has actually been broken, and now it's starting to act as a bit of resistance here. So I'd suggest that the art blocks curated NFTs at this moment in time, primarily these squiggles, are in a bit of a downtrend and are struggling to break out. But what I have noticed with this is that if you look through some of the volume here, it has started to pick back up. In recent weeks, you weren't seeing more than 3 or 4 being traded in a day, but now there's been an uptick across the board for the NFTs. Within the last 24 hours here, we've got about 15 sales, I think. So things in terms of the frequency of things being sold is picking up. So a general trend here is that more things are being traded, and this will typically precede a price increase. Now let's have a little look at another collection here, the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Again, these guys managed to get a price point of around 50 ETH, and that seemed to be kind of a topish area for them at 50. They've burst up a few times, but as you can see, these are kind of short-lived, up to 70, up to 80 or 90 ETH. And this, from a price point that was previously support, is now looking to be a bit of resistance. But as you can see, over the last couple of days, it started to tick back up again and really push higher and higher. So I was just looking through like the last 3 or 4 days here. Typically, these guys, the floor ones, were trading for low 30s, around 30 ETH, 35 ETH, some mid 30 levels. But then in the last 24 to 48 hours, things have really started to pick up once again, with some of these floor ones that you can see by here, quite the basic ones, trading for mid 40s typically. So you're seeing the blue chips definitely get a bit of price appreciation here in just 2 or 3 days, going up from mid 30s to mid 40s in Ethereum value. An increase in 10 ETH in a few days, an ETH at 4.5 grand now, that's like a 45, 50K move. So things are definitely ticking up, and I can only imagine this is due to the social environment around NFTs, and also people are starting to kind of cotton on to what these things can be. In the metaverse, these Bored Apes are probably going to be used for people's profiles, walking around. You could go to see your favorite DJ in a virtual environment, and you could be going as your Bored Ape, for example. And we're seeing things like record deals coming for these profile pic NFTs. So this just in, 2 entertainment projects featuring Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs get the backing from Universal Music Group and Timbaland. So Universal plus the Dutch-American multinational music corporation announced a formation of a non-fungible token metaverse music group called Kingship, featuring the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. So this made with Timbaland as well, helping to record some tunes here. They're going to be starting to release music in the metaverse. So those music items, the songs, the beats, whatever they produce are also going to be NFTs as well. So you can think about the composability here. Maybe the NFT holders will have some rights to the music. Maybe they can get some royalties out of this. And we're starting to see music NFTs starting to catch a bit of limelight here in the general media. So I think this is one of the driving factors behind the increase for Bored Apes here. Now, in terms of collections I've kind of been looking at here, the one has been these Habbo avatars because they came from the Habbo hotel game. I'm not sure if anyone played that when they was a kid, but these have a brand, an already established brand behind them. So over time, what we're probably going to see is that most big brands will come to the NFT space and release a Genesis collection. So that means the first collection from the brand. Brands speak volumes. Brands are pretty much everything in today's society. So rather than buying random profile pic NFTs from creators that we don't really know too much about, there's quite a lot of risk with doing that, with making these new mints and stuff. However, if you're buying into an established brand like this, that millions of people would have played this game when they were a bit younger, well, surely there's a better chance of this succeeding over other things. And if they go out and build their own metaverse here, and Habbo Hotel becomes a whole open world and NFT-enabled metaverse, well, maybe these Genesis collections here will become very valuable. So I just filtered these by highest last sale. You can see someone paid 30 ETH for this guy here, 20 ETH for this girl here, some big bids going in. So some collectors of these have obviously seen there's a big opportunity with these. And if you want to try and maybe get in on the low end of the scale here, the prices of these have been going down as of late. So maybe some of these cheaper NFTs with brands behind them would be the kind of things I'd be looking to buy. This one's been on a bit of a ski slope down here. Average price 0.37 just 1 month ago. Now we're down to around 0.2. You can get a few a little bit cheaper than that. But this is the kind of thing that excites me, because if you've got branding already established, you definitely are going to have a market of individuals who will be interested in purchasing these. Now, the difference with, say, Cool Cats, these guys are trying to create their own new brand, and maybe they will be successful in doing this, but I think that this takes on a bit more risk. As you can see from the chart here, 10 ETH seem to be a bit of area of resistance here. And I would say for any PFP collection, 10 Ethereum is about as far and as much juice as you're going to squeeze out of these. I would definitely be selling any PFP at 10 ETH if it's not got a huge brand behind it, due to the fact I just think they can't last that long. And essentially we're in a world now where these PFP collections will just be churned out time and time again, as we've seen, and there's always going to be a new influencer looking to try and pump the next collection. So there's always going to be one coming around the corner. So at 10 ETH, this was kind of get the heck out of town for the Cool Cats, in my opinion. I know they've got a good roadmap ahead, but still, I think 10 ETH for a PFP like this is slightly overvalued. Now, in terms of things that I would also invest in are collectibles. And these are certainly ones that catch my eye. I've talked about these previously. It's the Mike Tyson collection. And this comprises of the Genesis collection, the first batch, and now they've brought out a second batch as well, which are a lot cheaper. Genesis collections are always the most expensive. Then you have the second run here, the Gen 2s, and they're a lot cheaper, 0.14, 0.15 ETH, whereas the Genesis, you can pick them up for around 1 Ethereum. If we look at the activity over here, I should have picked these up in the summer because I was looking at them when they were down to around 1 ETH. They pumped all the way up here to around 14, 15 Ethereum, which was absolute insanity. But what you can see from this is that because they're so illiquid, during the FOMO time, the price just goes up and up and up. But during the bearish time, there's a very illiquid supply here. There's only a few hundred of these. And so the price can absolutely tank very, very quickly. So you'll see and notice that some people here are taking a huge hit. So this guy bought his Mike Tyson, baddest man on the planet NFT here, for 15 Ethereum. Just how long ago was that? 2 months ago. And now he's looking to sell it at a massive loss of just 1.4 ETH. So this guy's going to lose somewhere in the region of about $60,000 by selling it here, which is insane. And these are of just 250. So as a collection, Mike Tyson, of course, one of the greatest boxers of all time. This is also the first ever set of NFTs he's done. And these are created by Corey Van Loo, who's a very talented artist. So in terms of like a long-term hold, as a genuine collector's piece, I think that these are a good pickup. But at this price point right now, it looks like there's an opportunity to snipe some low ball bids. If people are willing to take like 12, 13 Ethereum losses on a 2-month hold here, well, you could probably put in some stink bids for some of these at around 1 or just under 1 ETH, and you'll probably get a bite off someone in desperation. But Mike Tyson, definitely the kind of collectible I'd like to have in the portfolio for the long run. So looking at this tweet here from Leonidas, we might be in an NFT bear market, but we're hitting new all-time highs on Google Trends. Bottom question mark, and as we've said, the kind of increased volume, increased awareness should precede a price movement upwards, and I think that will happen fairly soon. And this will probably be kickstarted by Coinbase with their NFTs and their NFT platform, the marketplace, coming towards the end of 2021, and there's only 6 weeks left. So there should be some movement here soon. Brian Armstrong saying that he thinks the NFT marketplaces could be bigger or as big as the whole of the crypto space. And 10 times as many people have signed up for Coinbase's NFT platform than OpenSea saw total over the last 30 days. So within this article, they actually explain that they're trying to create more of a social profile around these, trying to be like the Instagram for NFTs. That sounds like a very good concept. When I actually signed up, there was already like 1 million people had signed up before me. And now that number has hit 2.5 million customers popping in their email address saying, I want to sign up for the marketplace. So this would be a huge groundswell of new investors into the NFT scene. So you can imagine that this can only help push prices up because you've got limited supply assets and a ton of new investors. We can see a few of the sneak peeks here. Coinbase NFT platform previews. It looks pretty slick. As you can see from the top right as well, you can probably connect your current ETH wallet, but there may be options on there to pay with fiat as well, which I think will be very helpful. You can then kind of create your own profile and then have your own NFTs listed and shown. And of course, you could then follow individuals as well. So this would bring a new social aspect along to the NFT marketplace. And I think this just looks very, very interesting and will be very healthy for the NFT industry at large. So with these kind of pieces of the puzzle all coming together and even more social interaction here, Beeple was on the Jimmy Fallon show, for example, talking about his $69 million sale. We're really hitting kind of escape velocity. We're getting under the skin of individuals, people who are thinking, what the heck are these NFTs? Well, they're about to find out. So moving from profile pics, your originals like your punks, your up-and-comers like your Bored Apes, moving on to the kind of different things you can do with the NFTs, music industry, that kind of stuff. Now we have the kind of community NFTs as well, as defined by Neo Tokyo Identities, the brainchild of Elio Trades and Alex Becker. Now these were all created from a free mint. If you could crack the codes and really understand what the heck these guys were tweeting about, essentially you could mint an identity for free, and subsequent to this there have been 3 additional drops as well. So individuals who managed to do this have made off like bandits, and I think the total value of this now, with all the different mints that have come out, is somewhere in the region of like 150,000 US dollars. This kind of builds off from the loot idea where you build from the ground up. You create maybe some code here, you build a massive community around what you're doing, and then the value comes from that internal community. In terms of these Neo Tokyo identities, these Genesis identities here, there's only 2,000 of them. I think it's 2018. And so there's a big element of scarcity here, hence the floor price of 14 ETH. Now, if we look at Bored Ape Yacht Club, there's 10,000 pieces here, and the floor price is 42 Ethereum. So if Neo Tokyo can create a strong community like Bored Ape did, they've already done numerous mints, similar to the fact that the Apes created the Mutant Apes, the Bored Ape Kennel Club, etc. You can kind of see the path that these guys are taking here, and they're going to be building out their full metaverse as well. So they're 5 times more scarce than the Apes, but the price is roughly 1/3. So are these technically undervalued? I'll leave that question up to you to decide. But this is definitely a new way of building out communities, and we're seeing this across a few different collections here with different influencers trying to make a stamp on the industry. Journey Crypto, for example, has his own NFT club coming very soon. So what has Becca been suggesting that's going to go on here? Well, him and Elio have been calling Neo Tokyo the Citadel. So those who have identities can come and join them in the Citadel in the metaverse of Neo Tokyo and become essentially, as they call it, the Illuminati of crypto gaming. So gaming is going to come first, metaverse second, and if you're part of this inside crew here, you can become a member of the Citadel and take your rightful seat at the table. In Elio's bio here, co-founder at Superfarm and hand at Neo Tokyo News. Neo Tokyo News got 56,000 followers down here as well. So we're seeing kind of these social experiments where the community is being built from ground up, utilizing NFTs as your access pass. So Neo Tokyo definitely one to watch. So this is very similar to what Kongz have done, creating a strong community vibe, access to a unique Discord where you're going to get alpha drops, etc. And these Kongz Genesises hit a price here of around 85 ETH, is the cheapest right now, $400,000. And what you do is you build out a strong community, and from that you ensure you empower them to make good decisions and you make them wealthy as well. So Kongz gets value from Banana Token. So the Banana Token is the fungible token that you can trade, and each Kongz Genesis collection gets 10 bananas per day. So over the course of 1 year, your Genesis Kong gets you 3,650 bananas. Current valuation, $213,000 US. So I believe this is the kind of path that potentially Journey will take, potentially Neo Tokyo will take, and many of these other collections as well. It makes a lot of sense to utilize the tools that have worked very well in this industry. So there's a lot going on here within the NFT space, and although it's been through a bit of a bear market here, you can see that the wheels are starting to turn once again, the ideas are starting to flow, and as everyone is aware of Metaverse now, NFTs are going to power the metaverse. So this is definitely an industry you do not want to be sleeping on. So quite a bit of ground covered in this video, but in general, my closing thoughts on this are that you need to be aware of the shifting trends in the crypto space, and NFTs are a big part of crypto. They're going to be growing exponentially, as we're seeing with the likes of Coinbase. We're seeing big brands stepping into this industry on pretty much a daily basis now. So trying to establish a bit of a game plan here, maybe buying up highly sought after collectibles, brands, or the communities, trying to get into those communities that are going to probably create a ton of value for yourself, look to be the best ways to go in this space right now. So I hope this was somewhat helpful. If it was, drop me a thumbs up and a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.